How you doing? Eric here from Chaparral Motorsports. Today we're going to take a look at a couple new helmets from Arai. So I have Aaron here from Tucker Rocky, and he's going to tell us about the two newest helmets to come out from Arai. Aaron, why don't you go ahead and give us a breakdown of what we have here.
Well, thanks, Eric. Yeah, actually, these are the new Signet-X and Quantum-X helmets from Arai. These things just dropped on the market, and they have a lot of trickle-down technology, which makes them a really great helmet. The trickle-down technology is coming from Arai's Corsair X, which is their flagship race helmet. So these helmets now have a lot of that same technology built into them, giving you, the consumer, a much better helmet.
So what kind of trickle-down technology are we looking at? I know we've seen some of the venting here that I'm familiar with. The lens system looks kind of familiar as well.
Yeah, so coming down from the Corsair X, Arai has actually addressed some shell composite with this. So it does get some of the Corsair X shell composite material built into this. I think there's one less layer in this helmet than the Corsair X has at the flagship. Again, that being their race helmet, that's a lot of technology built into a street helmet. The venting system, like you touched on, yes, is new for this helmet. It actually brings in a lot of air, and we do a great job of actually getting that hot air out of the helmet. The system is the VAS system, which came out on the Corsair X helmet earlier this year, and is a very easy shield change system. Allows you to quickly move between shields if needed, and it has the pin lock technology, which the Corsair X had as well. So it allows you to actually use a double pane lens on there.
So now we have the Signet-X here and the Quantum-X here. What's the difference between the two?
I'm glad you asked, actually. So Arai is one of the only helmet manufacturers that actually address different head shapes, right? We're not all created equal. Each one of us have a different head shape, so one traditional shell is not going to work for everybody. The only way you can actually conform to different head shapes is with padding. Arai actually addresses that by making different shells. So with the Signet-X, it's more of a long oval design, so it's going to give you more room front to back and be a little tighter on the side. Where the Quantum-X is a round oval, so it's going to be more of that traditional round shape, not so long front to back, not so skinny up the sides. The Corsair X fits right in the middle, being the third shell as an intermediate oval. Okay. So the one cool thing actually with the Quantum-X is because it shares a similar shell design as the Corsair X, if you needed to go a little bit more intermediate oval and you wanted to stay at this helmet price point, you can actually use the top liner from the Corsair X to convert this from a round oval helmet into an intermediate oval helmet.
So you get more of a tailored fit for you.
Exactly, yeah. That is one thing that Arai has always addressed with their helmets and their shells, is a very tailored fit. They don't just make one shell and then tune it by padding, right? There's actually 4 different shell sizes that follow the gamut of head shapes. So extra small gets its own shell, small medium gets its own shell, large extra large gets its own shell, and 2XL gets its own shell. So it really allows for a custom fit helmet.
So now what you're saying is, because this is a long oval shape, this is a round oval shape, depending on your head size, whereas most large helmets are a one-size-fits-all.
Correct.
If you're a large oval shape, you will fit better in this helmet.
Correct.
In a large.
In a large. So if you are more of a long oval shape, like you mentioned, this helmet's going to give you the room front to back. If you've ever worn a helmet that didn't fit your head shape correctly, you'd know it right off the bat, right? You start to develop a hot spot. Right. If you've been on the bike for an hour, 2 hours, you start feeling a real pain spot. That's because the shape of the helmet's not necessarily correct. You might be in the right size helmet, but not the correct shape. And what happens is a lot of people, to compensate for shape, they go up a size. Well,
so it's too loose.
It's too loose at that point. So, we've found from doing a lot of shows that a lot of riders are in the wrong size helmet just because they're trying to compensate for a particular head shape. With Arai, you don't have to do that. They've actually created the shell for the head shape, and then you run the size helmet that you're in. So it actually allows for a much better experience when you're on the motorcycle, right? It's a custom fit, it fits tighter, it's gonna work better with energy management. It's actually gonna be a quieter helmet. When you go too big with the helmet, you develop air pockets, which really allow a lot of wind tear and road noise to get up inside the helmet. The tighter the helmet fits, the quieter it's gonna be, the more comfortable your ride's gonna be.
So one thing I'm noticing between the two, even though they are for different head shapes, by looking at them, you can't really notice a difference.
No, they are
so it's not like it's
very similar helmets. When you're looking at them from an exterior standpoint, this one is a little bit more round than that one is, and there is a little difference as far as the bottom part of the shell. That's really the only way to tell the Signet-X from the Quantum X. Outside of that, weights are almost identical, and ventilation, shield change system, and interior is all identical as well.
And we did weigh these on our scale, and we're looking at somewhere around 3.8, 3.7 pounds for each of them.
Correct.
So that's pretty good.
Very light helmet. And one thing to really note, it's not just the weight of the helmet. The helmet's actually balanced correctly.
So, yeah, right. So you're not
you don't have
got a lot of weight in the front or a lot of weight in the back.
If there's a lot of weight in the front, right, you lean over the bars to get on your bike, that weight gets magnified now, and your neck has to hold all that up.
Sure.
So a very balanced, lightweight helmet is going to give you a lot better experience when you're on the motorcycle for 2, 3, 4 hours at a time.
Especially comes into play with wind buffeting. If it's not a balanced helmet, you're going to be bobbling all over the place.
Correct, yeah. Size and weight really play into wind buffeting. Moving the air off the back of the helmet, if you notice on the back of this helmet, right, this large diffuser, well, actually this large diffuser does two things. It helps to evacuate the hot air, but it also actually gets the air off the back of the helmet, because what happens with a lot of wind buffeting is the air actually spools behind the helmet, and you get a lift effect on the back of the helmet. So if that air doesn't get off far enough off the back of the helmet, it really magnifies the buffeting that you would see from a helmet.
So now the venting carries down from the Corsair X, correct?
Yeah, very similar. The Corsair X has another center diffuser on it, so it does have one more vent on the front. The vents may be just a slight bit larger on the Corsair X than they are on this, but the nice part of this helmet, it does have multi-stage venting, so you have 5 intake vents and 5 exhaust vents to really get the air through this. So on the top vents, you have 3-stage, closed, medium, or full open. Chin bar as well. You have a closed, medium, or full open. You have 2 brow vents, which actually help really bring some air up into the helmet. So intake-wise, you're getting a lot of air in, but you can only cram so much stuff into a bag before it overflows, right? So you got to be able to get that hot air out, and that's where Arai has really addressed the 5 exhaust vents, and doing so with these diffusers. Like I mentioned before, as the air rushes past this diffuser, it actually creates a vacuum on the back side of the diffuser, which really helps to actually pull the hot air out. So you get a real comfortable airflow throughout. There's 3 large holes drilled in the top of the EPS liner that really do a great job of bringing the air into you and keeping you comfortable.
So you have a nice cooling effect from front to back, and then everything's going out the back as well.
Even all the way down to the back of the helmet right here, there's actually a neck vent as well that really helps with the air that moves along the bottom of the helmet to create that vacuum. So they're doing a great job of managing airflow through this helmet to keep you comfortable when you're out there, especially during the hot months. Cold months, vice versa, right? We want to try to lock some of that out and keep that cold air out. You shut this thing down with the chin curtain on it, you're not getting a lot of air in there. It's really going to be a nice warm helmet during the winter. So it is definitely an all-season helmet.
And then we've got the VAS visor system.
Yeah.
Again, coming down from the Corsair.
Correct.
So that's going to make it easy, like you said earlier before, to swap out for different visors.
Yep, if you want to change visors, some people want to run a light visor during the day or a dark visor, in the afternoon. Very easy to do. Quick 2 buttons, pops the side shields off. There's a red pin light. You just line the pins with the red dot. Pops right off. You can put your new shield on. They do come with the pin lock visor, which is actually kind of a cool feature, especially in colder climates where you're riding where it's chilly out. That pin lock visor allows you, and it does come with a clear shield that goes inside, but actually allows you to double pane, which helps with fogging, right? So in those cooler months, you can double pane. The nice part is in the pin lock, you can also get it in a tinted, a light smoke, dark smoke, a yellow.
So a lot of options.
Yeah, right. You have a lot of options there. So you can actually put that in. It just drops in with these 2 screws here real quick, drops in, and you're good to go. You're double paned, and you have a tinted lens inside as well.
And it also works with the
Pro Shade.
Pro Shade as well.
Pro Shade, actually, Arai brought this out just recently. It's been out about a year and a half now, and this is Arai's answer to the drop-down visor, right? So drop-down visors for a lot of the helmets that have them built into the visor, the helmet. We've all seen those, but those are not Snell approved. You can't actually get Snell approval because you're creating a void now between the outer shell and the EPS liner. Right? Snell won't approve that. So this is Arai's answer to that. It's called the Pro Shade system. So with this visor up, you have a clear visor. You're running double pane, so you can actually double pane it, so you get the same benefits during the cold. But as soon as the sun drops down where you need it, you just give this guy a little tug and drop it down. Now you have a nice tinted visor, and it actually drops down very low, so it does come down far enough where it gives you...
You're not playing with it,
Right,
looking
yeah,
in and
you're
out,
not
right,
having
right.
to bend your head down to keep yourself in the tinted spot. And it also gives you some real good visibility down low where you would need to see your gauges or your instruments or whatnot. You're looking through a clear visor as well. So this stays on the helmet. This is actually a completely new shield that you would put on the helmet and have it as separate. To open it, really easy. Just give it a little tug out and lift it up. It locks in place. And it creates an actual, there's a pretty good void here in between, so it does manage airflow very well. You don't get a lot of buffeting from this. What I kind of like about it though too, in the up position, so you're 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the afternoon where the sun's not directly in front of you, it's kind of above you, it gives you almost a visor, tinted visor.
Like a baseball cap effect.
Exactly,
Right,
exactly.
that's
So
nice.
it keeps you from getting sunburnt. You know, some people get nose burns or whatnot, and that definitely helps with that.
But it's also not raised so high that it's going to catch and flip your head back or
Yeah,
anything
it
like that.
definitely moves the air between the shield and the outer shield very well. It doesn't get, you don't get a lot of buffeting. I wouldn't recommend it at the 130, 140, 150 crazy miles an hour or something like that. But definitely for your normal commuting, this is a great option for you.
So even though there are a lot of different visors you can choose from, this one is one that kind of covers everything.
Right. This is
as
your
an accessory.
This is your one visor does all right here,
Right,
and definitely allows you to have the best of both worlds in one visor.
So that's a nice accessory to have if you want to pick
Exactly.
that up. Cool. Now what about the interior?
Interior with this is an antimicrobial interior liner that actually came down from the Corsair X. It is fully washable, fully removable, which is definitely nice, right? We've all had those helmets that have developed the funk after after a good summer's riding. So you can remove all the liner in this and wash it. We do recommend that you wash it at the sink with just a dishwashing detergent, nothing aggressive, and then just let them air dry. The cheek pads actually have EPS liner on the back, so you don't want to put those into a dryer or anything like that that's going to create a bunch of heat on it, because that definitely will hurt the EPS liner. With the cheek pads, this is actually kind of cool, and this started with the Corsair X, is the emergency cheek pad system. So this started with the Corsair X because in racing, obviously, if there's an accident or an incident, you want to be able to get the helmet off easily without aggravating any kind of neck injury. So Arai built this quick release cheek pad system in there, and it's identified by the two orange tabs you were just showing. Those can be pulled, and it actually knocks the cheek pad loose while the helmet's on your head. So those cheek pads can be removed, and then the helmet slides off nice and easy, because the cheek pads are the hardest part to get off your head.
It's got a nice chin vent and neck roll back here as well.
Exactly, exactly.
One thing I noticed about the ear pads is that it's got little pockets in it.
Yeah, actually, so this started with the Q models. Last year, Arai actually put cutouts in, because so many of us now are running communication systems. You want to have your music, you want to have your phone. So Arai went through and put these cutouts in there so that you can actually put the speaker in behind the liner, so it's nice and tucked out of the way. It doesn't get up against your ears. You don't even know it's in there, but yet now you have your communication system, and you can chat with your buddies, listen to your music, or take phone calls.
And the cheek pads have adjustment to them.
Yeah, actually, so talking about size and fit, right? That being key to Arai, and they take that very seriously, because the tighter, the more correct fit you have, the better you're going to be in the event of an accident, right? You need to manage energy, and that's what this helmet is developed to do. So in keeping a tight fit, they do offer different size cheek pads and different size top liners. So you can really tune that fit to make it work for you, right? Some of us might have bigger cheeks than others. Some of us may have a different head shape on top versus, so we're still long oval, but we need just a little bit more room. Exactly, a little bit more room, or we need to close the gap a little bit. In the cheek pads, you can adjust by 5 millimeters either way. So you can buy alternate cheek pads in 5 millimeter increments, so you can expand or tighten up if need be. Same with the top liner, it's a 2 millimeter change there. Arai comes with the cheek pads that are in the helmet, come with a 5 millimeter tearaway, which is really nice, because I always tell people start with the helmet tight, right? It's going to break in a little bit. After you've used it for 30 days, 60 days, the helmet's going to start to break in. It's just like a pair of shoes. It's going to get a little looser. As it gets a little bit looser, if you started too big, it's just going to get too big, right? So with knowing you have a 5 millimeter tearaway in there, if you start tight, once it breaks in, you still need a little bit of room. You can pull that 5 millimeter tearaway out of there and actually open it up. So it does give you some adjustment right out of the box.
That's very nice. So I think we covered just about all the features, Aaron, in these new helmets, but What about the standards? What kind of standards do these meet?
So there's multiple standards, as you know, out there in the industry, right? DOT is everything out here in the U.S., right? Everything has to be DOT approved, and SNEL. SNEL is actually has probably the most stringent standards to go by. Those are definitely standards. They're not the goal from Arai. Arai actually wants to exceed those. Their philosophy is, if you had the opportunity to build a helmet, put your name on it. Would you cut corners? Would you use the best components? Right?
Of course, yeah.
You would probably use the best components. It's your name. It's you out there using it. It's built as a piece of safety equipment. So they're out there to exceed those SNEL standards, and they do. They crush the SNEL standards. So this is one of the safest helmets out there on the marketplace that you can purchase. It is, to answer your question, DOT and SNEL approved.
Okay, and what kind of warranty do you get with Arai?
So with the Arai helmet, it's a 5-year from purchase or a 7-year from manufacturing. The really cool thing about Arai helmets is, if you need to know when the thing was manufactured, on all the newer helmets, you just check the D-ring. It's been laser etched into the D-ring, so you'll have a date there, a month and a year, so you'll know exactly when this came off the line, right? So now you know, hey, this is when it was built. If it's a helmet that's a little bit older than that, it would be stamped, embossed in the leather there. Typically, you want to keep a helmet 5 years, 7 years max. Things like the ozone or sweat, those all start to play on the EPS liner inside the helmet and start to break that down. So after 5 to 7 years, you want to replace your helmet. Sure. And that's kept in good condition. So you don't want to leave this thing in the trunk. You don't want to hang it in the wall in the garage. Heat is going to accelerate that process. Sure. So,
well, that's very cool. So we got 2 new helmets. We've got the Signet-X, which is for your long oval head shape.
Correct.
And then the Quantum X, which is for your round oval head shape. So between the 3, with the Corsair involved as well, in the immediate oval, you've got a head shape, or excuse me, a helmet that'll fit just about all the riders out there.
Correct, yeah.
And then again,
that's the goal.
We've got a lot of trickle-down features and technology from the Corsair X with the composite shell, the venting, and the visor system, as well as the interior.
Yep, exactly. Removable cheek pads, the emergency cheek pad system has all come down out of that Corsair X. So you're seeing flagship racing technology move its way into the everyday street helmet, which is great. I mean, it's for consumers. You can't ask for anything better than that.
Very cool. Wow, so that's a lot of technology that's trickled down from the Corsair into these 2 helmets. You've got the shell construction, the visor, the venting system, the liner, and the quick release cheek pads.
Yes.
So.
Yes.
Amongst the between the Signet-X, the Quantum X, and the Corsair, you now have 3 different shell shapes that will fit just about every rider in America.
Correct. And we're starting to see, like you mentioned, that racing technology trickling down into the everyday street rider's helmet, which just benefits all of us. Makes for a safer helmet.
Very cool. Well, thank you, Aaron. Thank you for coming out.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you guys for watching. Be sure to click that subscribe button. You can check out all the sizing and color options at shapmoto.com. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.